So that's why we call it KC-wide, because we welcome worldwide stations into the room. So Wires X room, great. I love the Yaesu products. That was all about Wires X. All right, streaming has started. This is perfect. So nowadays, if you ask any of the engineers where most of the traffic comes, it's on reflectors. It is now uh, hotspots have increased and have outnumbered Wires X nodes. And I'm looking right now, I'm seeing 154 Wires X nodes, repeaters, in the Wires X room. And we're going to be talking about Wires X. So these days, it's more popular to use a hotspot, which is kind of frustrating because here at Colorado Digital, Dave, myself, Ivan, we put up repeaters, we put up a lot of money and effort and support out of our own pockets to put up repeaters. And I know people that live right next to the repeaters, but they still get on a hotspot. So, and then the repeater doesn't get used. So that's frustrating. So if you have access to a repeater, use it once in a while. Kind of cool. But anyway, let me reset before I time out. Okay, so with that being said, hotspots, when I first started, Wires X was, uh, man, that was it. And I started using Wires X at the very beginning, but then I started finding out about these things called hotspots. And I tried it out. First of all, I stumbled upon Wires X and I put up my node. I duplicated what I found, and I first of all I heard it on as I was scanning. I didn't know what fusion was. I didn't know what C4FM was, and I found this signal, and it was worldwide, and it was on a simplex frequency. And I'm like baffled because I'm hearing this on simplex, and I'm talking to these guys somewhere in the UK, and I'm like, how are you doing this on my simplex frequency? And I had to do a fox hunt, and I tracked it down to Ham Radio Outlet in Denver. They don't have it up and running anymore, but they used to have a Wires X node on an FTM 100 with an HRI 200. So I duplicated that. And then next, I stumbled upon hotspots. So I got my hotspot, and I'm like, oh, great, I got this cute little thing. Meanwhile, I'm using this FTM 100 putting out 5 watts 7 miles away, and I put up my little cute hotspot, and it's got this cute little antenna, and I put it up, and I'm like, oh, how cute. And I'm like, oh, this is interesting. Very confusing, but I, after I started using it, I'm like, oh, I get it. I get it. There's more to life than Wires X. Wow. Yaesu's Wires X, I thought that was awesome. But then I started delving into the hotspot, and I'm like, oh, wow, this is more than just a cute little box with a little cute antenna. You got Brandmeister, you got TGIF, you've got YSF, you've got all these different networks. Where's Wires X? Wires X it's not there. Like, what's the deal? No, Wires X is separate. All right. Let me pause and reset. All right, the network's running on all cylinders. We're good. I'm seeing us on all the dashboards. All right. So, because hotspots are so popular, and now you can get to all these different networks, and then you got Yaesu where you don't have a hotspot. Yaesu has this WiresX network that's kind of separate, and you got all these networks through a hotspot, but you got this one network called WiresX. It's called Yaesu. That's actually the name of the network, Yaesu WiresX. How do we get to there through a hotspot? Well, if you have a hotspot and you don't have a Wires X node, you got to go through a reflector. So you can't go from A to B. You got to go A to B to C to D. But with Wires X, you can just go straight to the room. But with a hotspot, you got to go. like 4 hops away compared to 1 hop away. So that's what I'm talking about is a wired X node, you have to have a radio. So the question I have is, why use wires X these days? I mean, isn't that kind of old school? I mean, the hotspots give you so much more. Why should you use wires X? Um, you don't need to. It costs money. You got to buy a radio, and Raspberry Pis are cheap. So why use wires X? Chris, what's your answer? IDX over to you from W0SUN. I'm just sitting here saying, oh, he's going to ask me first, and I'm going to have to give my opinion first. Okay, call me spoiled, but I am Dr. Kirk for a reason, and I believe Wires X has the purest, clearest sound when you are Wires X to Wires X. There's always going to be different sounds coming from the other bridges and modes, but it's it's because I like it. It's the cleanest, clearest. Either you're in or you're out, and that's Wires X for me, and that's why I like it. Um, in fact, I like it enough to have notes. I have a couple of HTs, and I prefer Yaesu anyway. But that's me. Back to you, sir. TV2 idea. Well, that's a really good answer, and that's a really good Yaesu answer. Yaesu would love that answer. Here's Yaesu's view on Wires X. They built this great network for their radios. They put a lot of research into it, a lot of development. Um, on their radios, you can toggle between different modes. You can toggle between FM, digital narrow, and voice wide. By the way, if you're trying to toggle, you can try it right now too. If you're on Wires X, that is. So if you're on Wires X, not your hotspot, it doesn't work on a hotspot, but if you're listening to one of the Wires X Yaesu repeaters, or if you have a Wires X node, you can toggle between FM, digital narrow, and voice wide. If you don't see voice wide, and if you're toggling, um, and how do you toggle? You can hit the, by the way, did you notice you take the microphone and you can use the P3 key, or you can use that red D X button. You can use the X button, but if you're driving and you don't want to take your eyes off the road, the P3 key, if you haven't programmed it, by the way, by default, the P3 key on Yaesu microphones is the Wires X button. Just, I don't know if you knew that, but a little trivia there. Um, so, let me reset, get me back on track. Okay, so, and you're toggling and you're like, wait a minute, there's two digital narrow buttons. I'm like, whoa, what's with that? One has a bar across it, a little flashing bar, and one doesn't. The flashing bar means it's automatic switching. So if you want to have a frequency, for example, my family, we got ham radio operators in my family, my wife, my son, my daughter-in-law, and we all have fusion radios. And so when we're doing simplex, we actually use voice wide. But we can switch to digital narrow. So if somebody has an FM radio and we're using our family frequency, um, and one person doesn't have a digital radio, we can put it on automatic mode select AMS, And that blinking bar means it goes back and forth between fusion and digital. So if it gets hit with an FM signal, it switches to FM. If it gets hit with a digital narrow signal, it switches to digital narrow. And if you don't see voice wide on your radio, you got to go into the settings and change the settings so you can see voice wide. Some radios don't have that by default. And so if you're toggling and you don't see VW, you can set that so you can see VW. And so VW means voice wide. Okay, so the purest answer, back to Chris's answer, in Wires X, if you're on a Wires X Fusion DR2X Yaesu, real Yaesu repeater, and there's some repeaters that do C4FM that are not Yaesu repeaters, just to let you know. But if you're on a pure Yaesu repeater or a pure Wires X node, you can do voice wide. Or if you're doing simplex to simplex, you can use voice wide, which means it uses more bandwidth to voice, for voice, and it uses less bandwidth for data. Digital narrow gives you data and voice, and uses the bandwidth, more bandwidth for data. For example, what is the data? It's your GPS, it's your mileage, it's your call sign, and your DGID, and et cetera, and your DPID, and it's transmitting all this information. But if you don't want to transmit all the information, you want to have better voice quality, you can switch to VW, and then you're not transmitting all that information. All right. So that's the beauty of Wires X. Now, a hotspot, if you try to use voice wide on a hotspot, you're out of luck. Your signal will not go across. Also, conversely, if you're using voice wide on a repeater and you transmit, the other people on the other side of the bridge, Brandmeister, P25, All-Star, Hams over IP, Echolink, all those guys will not hear you. And that's happened. So if you're hearing a one-sided conversation and somebody's transmitting at VW, that will not travel over the bridge. It has to be in digital narrow. So the rule of thumb is stay on narrow. All right? Don't go when you're on a mixed system like this. If you're on a pure system, heck, voice wide is great. All right, let me pause. So why do I use Wires X? Why do I like Wires X so much? Um, I like Wires X so much that I was very happy, and I had a 2-year project to try to put up a repeater, and I finally accomplished that thanks to all the friends and my co my co-friends at ColoradoDigital.net. What a great team, because they helped me and supported me to put up a Wires X repeater, a Fusion repeater, and I really appreciate that. We've got a couple of them, actually more than a couple. We've got a few of them, but that was really cool. And so I like it a lot, and I like it when I'm driving around Denver area. I can use my Wires X node when I'm close to my home, up to 7 miles away, or I can use my repeater when I get out of range. So that's really cool. Or I can go to another club repeater and switch rooms. So if I want to go to Casey Wide, luckily we have a club that lets us switch the repeater to a different room. So that's why I like Wires X. Also, it's kind of like a little, I don't know. This is going to sound weird, but I'm going to confess to you another reason why I like Wires X. So I got to reset, and I don't know if you guys are. So I'm going to go ahead and tell you why I like Wires X. You're going to get a kick out of this. So you know how you feel when you shoot a basket and you go swish, or you're working on trying to figure out wires X and you can't figure it out, but you finally figure it out after 2 days, and you finally found the stupid answer that kept you from getting connected. Swish, it's very satisfying. So that same feeling when I hit that wires X button and it's connecting, and if it doesn't find the repeater and it just keeps connecting and connecting and it keeps connecting, that's very frustrating. But when I'm in range and everything is working correctly, and I hit that wires X button and it goes, dee and I hear that really cool sound, that's like making a basket for me. And maybe it's some OCD thing inside me, but when I'm on my radio, I feel like I have so much power and control. And when I hit that repeater and go into wires X mode, and I hear that, it's kind of like the Addams Family theme, and I feel like I want to snap my fingers or something. But anyway, you go into that wires X mode, and then you can see that cool information on your mobile or handy talkie. If you have an FT3 or an FT5D, it's in color, and you can go down the pages at a time, and you can see everything sorted by the top active rooms at the top, which is fantastic with WireX. That is very satisfying to me and very cool that I have all this power in the palm of my hand with my handy talkie. So that's why I like WireX. Also, try to do that on a hotspot. Go into WireX mode on a hotspot. Does it work? Does the WireX mode work on a hotspot? Yes, but it doesn't give you the same feeling, and let me tell you why. Let me reset so I can time out. The midway does not test radios with hotspots. Hotspot, even though it does C4FM, even though they reverse engineered the WireX synchronization process and the handshaking process with WireX, it doesn't work quite as efficiently. For example, when I do WireX against a hotspot, I get a very similar screen. But how is it sorted? It's sorted kind of by alphabetical, kind of. So as I stream down and page down, it's like you have to page down forever. When I'm doing it on a true wires X node or repeater, it's all sorted really nice by the most active rooms at the top. So I can see where all the action is just by looking at the screen, and then I can page down or scroll down with my handy talkie or my mobile, and I can see all the wires X rooms. And I just think that's the coolest thing in the world. That is why I like wires X. Now, I'm going to pause. If anybody wants to comment on this topic, please come in now.
W7E with a comment.
All right, Jeff up in Washington State. Yeah, please, what is your comment?
Yeah, my beliefs and my love for the Wires X is the flexibility. I go out and I walk every day, as Bucky knows, and Chris, a few of you guys out there, and to be able to take a handy talkie with me and talk back in and control my node radio or my repeater, because I've also put up a Wires X repeater, and to be able to move it to different rooms and go out and be able to go out and exercise and enjoy myself and have full conversations and do all of that type of stuff. That's not easily done with DMR and carrying a hotspot or an open spot in my pocket as it is through the wires X and be able to be in HRI mode. So that's probably my favorite feature. And Yaesu's got a lot of nice features in their radios as well. PMG mode is another one. It's not wires X, but I do use it. So anyway, that's my 2 bits and the reason that I love Wires X. Back to net control, W7NEE.
All right, thank you. Um, Yeah, Jeff, that's great. I like that too. And I used to go on walks with Jeff, and we got to start that again sometime. And we used to talk on the radio, and I would hit my wires X, he'd hit his wires X. He'd be simplex, I'd be simplex, but we'd be both talking through our wires X notes. And then he got all excited, and he actually put up a repeater as well. So, thanks a lot, Jeff. Really appreciate that. All right. So I love Wires X, but what is wrong with Wires X? And I went and I pretended today that I was just normal Joe, and I went to yasu.com, and I'm thinking I'm going to act like I've heard about Wires X, so I'm going to find out more about it. So where do you go to find out more about it? I'm going to go to the source. So I'm going to go to yasu.com, and you can go there with me. Go to yasu.com. So I'm clicking on amateur radio, and I'm clicking on, okay, I'm clicking on, I don't see anything. I'm scrolling around, and there is nothing on Wires X. And I'm searching and searching. It took me 5 minutes, 10 minutes, and I'm looking around. Finally, I see this thing up at the top of the menu on the top right. And wait a minute. Okay, there. Oh, if I expand my browser, oh, that was my problem. Okay, I look at products of the top. I finally see wires internet linking. Ooh, wires internet linking. Okay, so I'm going to go to wires internet linking, and what do I see? Ooh, I see an HRI 200, and that's it. On the page is an HRI 200. So I'm going to click on that. Oh, and I see some files. Okay, so I'm going to get the files, and then I'm going to start getting information like this screenshot that I put in the chat room. I actually got this. I actually got this off the manual, and try to make sense of this. I mean, whoa, the documentation. So I'm going to the files, and I'm getting documentation, and I'm trying to make sense of this. So I'm going. I see the software, and I'm seeing installing WiresX software to the PC. And so I'm thinking, okay, I'm going to go do this. So what do I need? What do I need? I'm going to go to the store. I'm going to go and order an HRI 200. So that's the first thing I see. I got to get an HRI 200. So I'm going to get that HRI 200. And then I'm going to install it. And then I install it. And okay, I've got to go in the corner because I haven't done this for a long time. I forgot to look at my timer, and I timed out. Oh, okay, finally DMR caught up with me. Sometimes when I time out, I end up not coming in on all the systems. Am I coming in? Can everybody hear me? Everybody in the chat room? Okay, there we go. All right, let me pause. Okay, so I got to get going on this. So I'm getting the manual, and then I'm like, somebody tells me, well, you don't need an HRI 200. And I'm like, I've been trying to install this HRI 200. I have to do port forwarding, and I have to do all this stuff. And I heard it was easy, but this is not easy. This is this just this is hard. So, and then somebody tells me, well, you don't need an HRI 200. Oh, yeah, okay, great. You should have told me that before. So I'm going, what do I need? Well, get one of those radios that's got FMs. Okay, I'm going to go to products. I'm going to go get a mobile transceiver, and I'm going to go download. Oh, I see this oh, this new STM310DR. I want to get one of those. So I go to files and I get a manual. So I'm going to go, what manual do I need? I got the manual. I go to the instruction manual. There's not WiresX in there. I go and download the WiresX edition, the last manual on the list. So I download that manual. And I kid you not, I had to go to the very last page to get any useful information. I'm still cooking on all cylinders, guys. I don't know if that was a timeout or not. Maybe that was just a dropout. But and so I go and get that manual, the FTM 300, and I finally go to the last page, and this is what I see. I go and I go to page 27 in the manual, and there's a half a page. And I actually put this in the chat room, guys. But step 1 and step 2, connect the FTM 310 to the HRI 200. Then start WiresX software on the PC. Refer to the HRI 200 manual. Well, I already did that. Okay, while pressing this button and this button simultaneously, hold down this button and then power on, and then the FTM 310, it'll do this, and it'll go WiresX and follow step 2 again, or cancel the node station. And that is the instructions. And I'm like, that's ridiculous. Who writes this stuff? All right. Gacy, are you listening? I don't know. You should be listening. Anyway, let me pause. Okay. So I'm going to give you a website, which is part of the old website, and it's from Japan too. So, Vale in the chat room, W0KPZ, my neighbor 20 miles to the north of me, he said, Wires X is so much easier than DMR. And then I paged down the chat room and he goes, this is what I'm going to go ahead and say this. The AC Wires X documentation does suck. Okay, well, that's kind of contradictory. The AC is the easiest system to learn, but yet the manuals are horrible. All right, so I just put a link into the chat room, and let me just, if you have a pen, write this down. This documentation is pretty decent, and it comes from Yaesu itself. So if you do yaesu.com/JP for Japan, yaesu.com/JP/wires-x/node. I know that's a big URL. I'm going to say it again. yaesu.com/JP/EN for English /wires-x/node. This is part of the old website, and I actually printed this out too because I want to save it forever in case it ever goes away. But it says opening a node. What is the WiresX node? So right off the bat, Yaesu's typing this out, and right off the bat it says number 1, a node station connected with the HRI 200 interface. Let me reset. Okay, let me repeat. There are 2 options. Number 1, node station connected with the HRI 200 interface. That's number 1. Number 2, WiresX portable digital node station, otherwise known as PDN. These are my options. Okay, remember this. WiresX nodes, if you're interested, And why should you be interested? If you have a Yaesu Mobile, an FT510, if you have an FTM 300, 400, 200, one of those older radios, if you have an FTM 100 even, if you have an FT5D, I'm sorry, FT70Ds not allowed. I'm sorry, 991s not allowed. They don't have the interface. But if you have one of those UHF, VHF mobile units, right, you can set it up as a PDN. Now, why should you? You just have one radio. Did I even bother setting it up as a PDN? Yeah, you should. At least you can connect it with a cable to your computer and get on Wires X and see what the Wires X software is all about. It's kind of fun. All right. So let me pause and make this easy. Number one, again, HRI 200. Okay. Number two, again, PDN. Those are my choices. Number one or number two. Let me tell you about number one. Before 2019, that's all there was. In the beginning, with Wires X, you had an HRI 200, and you had to connect your computer to the HRI 200 and your radio to the HRI 200. Not a handy talkie, only a mobile unit. Done. End of story. That's all the option you had. After 2019, they came out with System Fusion 2, and now you don't need that HRI 200. All you have to do is connect a radio. Now, the old method happens like this. You registered not your radio, you registered your device, your HRI 200. Okay, I think that was a packet. That was a drop. That was not a timeout because I'm looking at the timeout timer. All right, so on this website, HRI 200. Let me tell you a little bit about the HRI 200. Back in the olden days, you register your HRI 200, you get back an email, and you get two numbers. You get a node and you get a room. You get two numbers. They're both 5 digits. You get a room and you get a node. All right. So later on, when they were starting to get all this Wires X stuff going, you can register your node and you can register your room and you install Wires X and everything's great. Most of the people never activated the room. Some people did. If you want many people to connect to your node, it's only a one-on-one. So if you go node to node, it's one-on-one. But if you want to have multiple people connect, you have to have a room. So with an HRI 200, you can use your node, but if you want to have multiple to one, you have to activate that room. That was 2019 and before. That was System Fusion. Okay, if you want to continue that system, you can get your own HRI 200, then you can activate your node and you can activate your room. Great. All right. Let's go to System Fusion 2 without the HRI 200. Here's how it works. Without the HRI 200, you send an email, you register your, no, you don't need an HRI 200, so what are you going to register? You're going to register your radio. So now you register your radio and you get back an email and you get the information. You get two 5-digit numbers because it's the same system, right? You get a room number and you get a node number. So, great. You install Wires X software and then you're going. But now I want to activate my room. So what happens? You go to activate your room. Now, here's what happens. Let me pause. All right, Jeff just put the old manual. I haven't, yeah, I like that manual. I have that manual. That's a really good manual. He put a really good manual, but it's still confusing though. I've used that manual and I think it's confusing. I'm going to put another one into the chat room that I'm talking about. Anyway, um, this information I'm talking about is in that manual too. I'm looking at the chat room. All right. So now I have the radio, the PDN method, number 2. So the PDN method, much easier. You don't have to do port forwarding, and you don't have to buy the HRI 200 device. All you do is a cable kit. You connect your computer to your radio directly, and you don't need that little device. It's much easier. But then you go activate your room. It's grayed out. What's wrong with this picture? I cannot activate my room. Even though the email says you get a node and you get a room, they lied. There's no more activation if you do a PDN method, number 2, you cannot activate the room. It is inactivatable. Is that a word? Anyway, you cannot activate that room. So that is limitation with Confusion 2, the radio. Now, do you need a room? Well, Jamie, KT1 USA, has a really good compelling reason to have a room. He built a network, and he's got multiple people in the room, and he's got it connected, and it's called White Lightning, and that's a cool system. So yeah, he went got the HRI 200 and he activated it, and he did the port forwarding, and so that's a good reason for a room. Another good reason for a room, if you have a club, that's great. But if you want to have your own room, great. You can market that room. Like, okay, everybody come to my room, and I'm going to be sitting there watching TV or listening to the radio. I'm waiting for people to connect to the room. Please come to my room. I mean, you see the picture? So you really need a room. You got to ask yourself that. Okay, so you have option number 1. Again, HRI 200. I'm going to try to make this easy. After all my fluff and stuff and all my speeches, I want you to remember option number 1, HRI 200. You can activate a room. You can also get a node. Option number 2, PDN. You may not activate your room, but you don't need to do all the hassles and all the port forwarding and all that stuff. And there's plenty of empty rooms out there. I can give you many, many empty rooms that are out there waiting for. In fact, ASU has empty rooms that you can use. So you really, really don't need a room. Let's go forward with option number 2. So if you're going to install a Wires X room and you decide you don't need an HRI 200, which, oh man, yeah, I try not to get distracted by the chat room. All right, let me start on a fresh timeout. Oh man, I'm dropping. Anyway, I hope my signals. Tell me in the chat room if my signal's bad. Let me pause. Okay, I'll try not to drop, but sometimes I don't have control. So number 2, let's go to number 2. Now, if you click here for the details, and I'm going to put this link in the room. This is just the same link, but it's got a direct place where I like to go. So I want to focus on PDN. So you scroll down, skip the HRI 200. It's going to tell you, you want to do this, you want to do this, you need a computer, and you have to have all these, see those ports? You have 6 ports you have to open through your router. You have to do port forwarding, and then you have to have all these lights go green, and you have to do all that stuff. So I recommend skipping that and going directly to the PDN node station. Now, this is the important thing. Remember when I wanted you to remember step 1 and step 2. Number one is an HRI 200. Okay, let's move beyond that and go to number two. Now, number two is the PDN mode. Now I want to give you A and B. So number 2A is portable digital node mode. Portable digital node mode. That rhymes. Portable digital node mode. That's kind of a funky name. PDN node mode. PDN mode. Okay, so portable digital node mode. All right. The second option B, is portable HRI mode. I want you to circle B. 100% of the time, I use option B. I do not use option A. All right, that's important. And in the manual, it'll say this in that manual too, there, Jeff. That has good information. But there's one little tiny print that that you don't notice. I didn't notice it for a long time, but I want to tell you what the problem is with option A. And this has been stated too. This actually talks about the 510D. Um, option one, or option A, portable digital mode. If you read the fine print, blah, 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 uh, it supports digital node capable transceivers. It supports all these videos, and it has all these complicated diagrams and everything, and stuff like that. And ignore all those pictures, please. Just ignore all those diagrams. It's in the same manual that Jeff has. I used to study those pictures. What are they talking about? These pictures that are outrageous. Um, it's talking about portable digital node mode, access point, direct operation, and it is confusing, confusing, confusing. I had to study it like I was taking a test. I swear, when I first put my first Wires X node up about 6 years ago. Let me pause. Okay, there's one problem with option A. Let me tell you the problem, and that's why I never use option A. Portable digital node mode. Never use it, because you can only transmit digital rooms. So you can only enter and participate in digital only rooms. Great. Casey Wide fits that category. It is a digital only room. When they started Casey Wide years and years ago, they defined it as digital only room. Great. I can get to Casey Wide, but if I want to go to America Link, Texas Nexus, if I want to go to some of these other rooms, you may not pass go. You are not able to, you shall not pass. You cannot pass. Sorry, you are not on the guest list. You are not going to enter. So why is that? Portable digital node mode. Option A, I cannot use. Okay. Well, they only do digital. They don't do analog and digital. Most of the rooms in Wires X land are analog and digital. So America Link, other rooms, even the room that I use, I created a room and I made it analog digital. Why did I do that? Because I wanted to have it for testing purposes, so I could put analog nodes in there. Yes, you can put an analog node into a Wires X room. With System Fusion back in the day, and even now, if you get an HRI 200, you can connect an analog radio and have it participate. Will it participate in KC Wide? No, because it's a digital only room. Will it participate in America Link? Yes, because it's an analog and digital room. So that's the difference. So, with that being said, with that information, cross that A off your list. Never use it. Portable digital node mode? No. Get rid of it. Don't use it. Okay, I'm getting to the end here. Portable HRI mode, winner, winner, chicken dinner. That is the option every single time when you have a radio connected to your computer. And these are the requirements. Have an HRI, to get on Wires X, you have to have a Windows computer. You have to download the Wires X software, get a little interface cable, and then connect your radio, register your radio, connect it to, and you're good to go. Portable HRI modes are wonderful because you can toggle. An HRI 200 would broadcast a frequency. You could not use it in direct mode. Back in the day, here's another reason why I don't like HRI 200s, because you're stuck in HRI mode. HRI mode means you have to have a frequency, so that means you have to have a second radio. So you have to have a handy-talkie or a mobile radio to talk through your radio connected to the HRI 200. You cannot toggle to direct mode. All right? Okay, so I'm almost done. I'm almost done. Okay, so portable HRI mode, you can toggle with the AV switch or with some other button on the FTM400. It's a different button, but on the other radios, it's an AV switch. So if I have a wires node, I can now toggle and go direct mode. So that means I can have both. I can have PDN mode and I can have an HRI mode. HRI sends out a frequency, PDN mode, direct mode, doesn't send out a frequency. That means it becomes an internet radio. For example, I have an FTM 400 right now. It's connected to my computer. When I'm in the shack, I hit the AV button and I can talk in direct mode. I'm on the internet. I'm not talking. I don't have any RF going out my radio. I have a dummy load. It works. It's great. I can pick up the mic and I can transmit. But when I leave the shack, I hit the AV switch and now it puts out a frequency, a VHF frequency. And then I have a 40-foot antenna, 5 watts. So walk outside, I can go 7 miles away and I can hit that Wires X node with my mobile radio in my car. Or I can go on a walk. So that is very cool. So you can toggle when I'm in the shack, I toggle it back to direct mode. When I'm out on the street, I can toggle it back out and do that. So that's the end of the line and I am done. So again, let me do a quick review. Okay, I doubled with someone, so I got to try it again. So, number one, HRI 200. Um, if you don't need a Wires X room, if you want to activate a room, go with that option. But if you don't need it, and I really want you to have a compelling reason, it's so much easier to go to option two. Option two, A, cross it off your list. You don't want that. You want HRI mode every time, option B. So that is the way to go. So forget all that other stuff. Um, don't even worry about it unless you want to read it. That is it. That's all you have to remember about installing a Wires X node. All right, I'm going to take a quick break and pass it back over to Chris, CB2 IDX. Sorry I went overboard, but I just wanted to get all that Wires X stuff out there. Go ahead, Chris. Over to you from W0SUN. Yeah, 5OJI. Did you have a comment from JP2 IDX? Yes, I did, but actually, I think he just explained it, so I think we'll be on standby listening. Yeah, if I put you on the side. Okay, Thomas, and good to meet you. And usually Bucky sticks around for a while after we close out, too, in case anybody has any more questions. So, alrighty. I'm going to get the chat room caught up real quick here. A couple of folks have joined us uh, since we last did that. AA0RT, Ivan, W1VAN, and I just added KIOI, and we're at 81. So, I think it's time to see if there are any other folks out there that would like to check in over the air. Just take it easy on me. I'll do the best I can. And if you'd like to check in over the air, please come now. Call signs only, please. KV2 ID. KI5UPS. Kilo Uniform 0 Sierra, KU0F. KI5UEX. Alrighty. Get that microphone back over here. We picked up a few more, folks. KI5UEX, NF8F, and KU0F. Alrighty, and that brings us up to 84. So I think, Bucky, if you had a chance to get a sip of water, I'm going to send it back to you and see if you can get a couple more and get us to a nice round number. And then we can finish up and close out. Back to you, sir. W0SUN, KB2IDX. Like a disconnect. All right, I got you, Peter. KI5WSD. You came in so quick, but I assume you're checking in, and I'll leave a gap here in just a little bit. So I got KI5WSD, and we got you on the list. Anybody else before we officially close it? And I'm going to answer one question in the chat room here in just a minute, but anybody else want to get on the log before we close her down? Please come down with your call. WI0JIM. All right, we got you, Jim. WI0JIM. I really like that call, by the way. Good deal. All right. I'm going to leave the chat room open a little bit, and I'll take a little bit. In fact, I want to answer a question that Michael asked in the chat room. Too much for me to type. And let me go ahead and officially end the net. We're here if you just tuned in, we're here every Thursday night starting at 8 o'clock Central Time here on America KC Wide, talk group 313136, wires X room 28054, And I usually just use YSF on a hotspot. I use the 28054. Yasu uses 5-digit numbers all the time. Remember, you can send us an email if you have any questions. It's buckyhotline@gmail.com. And if we send you a reply, please let us know that you got it. And we'll try to help you out and get you pointed in the right direction. All right. Thank you, Kansas City Wide, for letting us come here every Thursday. KansasCityWide.com. KansasCityWide.com is the website. And our website is coloradodigital.net. KansasCityWide.com. Yeah, that's right. I just had a moment there for a second. And yeah, we went a little bit long tonight, but it was a lot of fun. And we'll catch you next week. All right. I'm going to pause for a little bit. Stand by, Michael. I'm going to pause just a little bit here. I got Tom. I got you in the on the log in the chat room there in Texas. All right, Michael KK7VKS. He asked a really good question. Do you need to re-register WiresX if you change or replace your radio? And I'm going to tell you officially, yes. If you need to swap out your radio, yeah, you'll need to re-register a new radio. But I'll tell you what you can do and what I do. I swap radios frequently, and here's what the problem is if you do that. I have a laptop computer, portable laptop here in my shack, and I registered a handy talkie years ago, my FT3. When I travel, I take that with me. It's my portable Wires X. I registered that FT3 to be a Wires X node. I keep that elsewhere. When I am in my shack, I actually connect an FTM 400 to my Wires X node, and it works. So I keep the FTM 400 in my Wires X room, even though it was registered with an FT3D. It's great, but if my FT3 ever breaks and I lose my computer, I'm going to be in trouble, because if I want to bring that Wires X information back, I don't have my FT3 anymore. It's not going to recognize my FTM 400 when I try to install the software again. It's not going to recognize it. So that is the problem. So yes, if I don't have my FT3D, I can use my FTM 400, but if I lose my software, then I need that FT3 back. So if I sell that FT3D, I'm in trouble. So yes and no. The official answer is yes, you have to re-register. That's the safest thing to do. Did you get that KK7B? Yes. Okay, JNF8F asked me a question. How do you find a unused Wires X room? I go and sort, and so I go into the WiresX software and I sort it out. But what you do is if you, let's see, I got these WiresX rooms. Let me pause for a second and tell you what the numbers are. Okay, here's the answer. WiresX rooms, starting with 5-digit code 2000. 21000. It's 5 digits, right? 21001. These are 3 rooms that are empty all the time. I use them for testing. I use them to go there to have a nice chat. These are empty rooms. This is called CQ Worldwide. CQ-Worldwide. That's a Yaesu room. CQ-America. Okay, CQ-Worldwide is 2000. That's a WiresX room. CQ-America 21000. That's a WiresX room. There's somebody just went to Yaesu test room. Yaesu-test-room for testing. Yaesu-test-room 21001. All right, and those are the rooms I'm going to give you, and I'll type those in. So did you get all that? NF8F, I think you did. You're in. So he's asking me questions in the chat room. All right, and KN6WES. If you miss some of the net and you want to catch up on it, it's out there. It's going to be out there for a couple of hours. If you want to listen to it, go to. Hold on, I'll give you the website. Hey, John, do you have that website handy? I'm finding it if you don't.
Hammering Solutions, and then NDR.
You came in kind of hot there, but it's hamradio.solutions. It's not .com. It's, yes, solutions. Websites are crazy these days. hamradio.solutions/NDR, like Network Digital Recorder. Or you can go to ndr.hamradio.solutions/NDR. And if you click on Casey Wide, you can see me transmitting right now. It's kind of like Hoseline, but you can go back and listen to the beginning of the net. Incidentally, my WiresX room is out there, coloradodigital.net. If you go to, what is it? URF, US-URF-303, US-URF-303. That's our WiresX room. Sorry for the coding, but that's an XLX reflector. US-URF-303, or US-KCY. And so there you go. We have a net on Wednesday night you can listen to as well. So you can go to our room. But there you go. So if you miss part of it, you can go back there. It's going to be there for about 2 hours and then it disappears. AI5, UX. Quick question. Where do we find the chat room you keep referring to? Yeah, good question. The chat room that we use every single Wednesday and Thursday night. Wednesday we have another net on another room, but Thursday night it's it's always ham.live. That's our chat room. Ham.live, and then click on the net, which is called um, um, Let's Talk Digital. I have to remember for a second. It's called Let's Talk Digital. Go to ham.live, not .com, not .net or anything. It's ham.live. And if you have a Gmail account, make sure you click on Google. Otherwise, click on the other email, and they'll send you an email with further instructions. But it's called ham.live. All right, thanks everybody. Thanks Kansas City Wide for letting us come here every Thursday night. And I'm going to say 73. You can put all your hotspots and repeaters back to normal use and let them cool down. We'll catch you later. 73, everybody. See you next week. W0SUN. Real quick, we just added Jim. Thanks for joining us, Jim, in the chat room. I got you on the log. AC1MT. I got you, Jim, over there in Massachusetts. We got 87 seconds. Thanks a lot, guys. W0SUN.